Okay, good morning. Morning, Mark.
Morning, Joe. How you doing?
I am doing great, thank you. Everything's good. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to pick up where we were yesterday, but I just want to go over a few things with you here because, we're on this theme because the most important thing we have is that the people not understanding how to get people going, how to get them started. And, if you're recruiting new people, got to have this message. Got to understand how to do this. There's a lot more to this than, and this is why, that number is so high, Mark, is because people just don't know what to do with new people. And there's lots of things to learn. And, this isn't just about throw it against the wall and see. When you do that, you end up with all those blue dots like most people get. And I don't care who it is. That's why they got to have all those large numbers, is because they don't teach the people what to do with new people. And new people end up quitting. Large number of people quit because there is no management. That's the problem. So let's take a look. I don't know if you want to say hello, say a few things, and then I'll bring up a couple screens here.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'll say this, that based on my research and what I've been seeing here, and even earlier this morning, that people are beginning to say what we're saying. I mean, people that you wouldn't think are saying that. There seems like they must be losing people because they're now starting to change their tune. And it's not, I see some people now are changing, like, well, you gotta buy one every week. You have to. If you're not doing that, you're not doing anything. Now they're changing their tune, saying that you want to try to buy every week or at least once a month. That's what we've been saying. Don't put pressure on yourself. If you can do it once a month, do that. If you can do it once a week, do that. If you can do it every other week, do that. What's happening is, and the other thing too, is that they're not using our term director, Joe, but they're using, they're starting to use the three-way. And somebody said that you should be able to do it in 2 minutes. So I'm starting to see that, and see. One of the things that I notice is that people come to the Breakfast Club and listen for a minute, and then they chime out, and then they go tell everybody else what we're doing, and it's like a spy. And then when they find out what we're doing is the proper way, then they eventually get, well, maybe we ought to try that, when they start losing a bunch of people. Because that's what's happening. Just like you said, that's exactly what's happening. And then the other thing is I saw where someone was saying no cross recruiting. First time I saw that in writing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they're saying it, but unfortunately, corporate is allowing things like this, and I'm talking to somebody way up above this morning on a mission. And you know what, people, you need to support this. You need to support no cross recruiting here. If you bring somebody in, all companies I know, I don't care what company it is, they all have a theme, not a theme, they have a rule that says if you want to change, you want to work under somebody else, then leave for 6 months, completely quit, get wiped out, and then 6 months later come back in where you want. This company doesn't do that, but I want them to do that, and so does many other people, and some of the big people don't, some do. And it's creating a lot of bad blood, and it's not right. So anyway, that's being talked about, and so we'll see what happens. But if you get some emails about it, you know what? Support it. Don't allow it to happen. It's not fair. All right, let's go. Let's get to work here a little bit. Let me share my screen. See how we do here. See what we're up to. Good. Got our tunnel there.
It is. Yes.
All right. You should see that
Correct.
now, correct? All right. Let's take it from the beginning. We covered a few of these things. What it's like to be a magnetic manager and draw people to you. But once you get them here, draw them in. That doesn't mean get them to sign and register. We're talking about after registration here. you know, and using your own style, but following these rules. You know, 12 powerful questions to get your new person to get engaged. Help them engage, not just come in and say, just go do this. But, you know, those questions, you know what, this is a good thing to do, is to look at this, what an open-ended question really means. You know, when you want to guide your person, you really don't want to use open-ended questions, to be perfectly honest with you. You have to be very careful. This here says something about you know, it does say that they elicit thoughtful responses. Yes, it does do that. You do want to have that person talk, but be careful, depending on the question that you ask, you know, whether you want it open-ended or not. I wanted to talk about that yesterday. All right, so we looked at 6 of these yesterday. And if you went to the recording and took some notes, you should have gone through these and watch the word. Let's take number 6. Watch the speech or words you're using. We talk about this all the time. Terminology equals perception. So let's take on number 7 now. How are your judgments and attitudes showing up physically? What does that mean? Observe and ask about facial expressions, body movements, posture, gestures, breathing patterns. Obviously, you can't see that over the phone. Ask the affiliates to pay attention to how they respond physically to their own judgments. This will help them recognize ways their judgments affect their physical being. Look, they're talking here for us as affiliates. You're talking about a person who has their own thoughts and judgments about certain things. A new person has lots of questions, and they're skeptical. And that's why you have these discussions with them, you know, to get these questions answered for them, to get them believing in what they're doing. Most people, when they begin, they don't believe in what they're doing. They just don't. They don't know what to do. We have a new group under me. I don't know who brought them in. Still trying to find that out. They won't, you know, they won't send them to places like this to get them educated. They're doing it again. Brought in a lot of people a year ago telling me that, oh, they know how to do it. They're great networkers. They're all gone now. 52 of those people told me they were going to turn them in, you know, it's going to turn the world upside down. They're all gone. Came in as VIPs, some of them, and they got no education. They had no management, didn't tell them where to go, what to do, didn't connect those people to meetings, to the Breakfast Club, to me. I don't even know who they are. This is a perfect example, Mark, of not working together. But when you get that person, when you bring your new person in, you've got to engage them and have them understand what's going on physically. You know, when you're talking to them, are they really, you know, you behind the curtain going, yeah, but, and shrugging their shoulders, rolling their eyes. You've got to get to the bottom line on what these people want and need.
And Joe, that's exactly why that first 48 hours is so very important. So very important. They need direction. They need direction.
Yep. All we have to do is study some of these things, and first, like we said, we know here that we bring them in the right way. We bring them in, and then we send them immediately to a place to give them tasks to do. You've got to give people tasks, make an appointment with them to go over the tasks within a reasonable time, 24, 48 hours, whatever, depending on their schedule. We've got to help them move forward, or you're going to lose them. You know, some of the people, obviously, my upline thinks that's a joke. You know, just put them in, just go ahead, go, and see what happens. And I know what happens when they do that. It's very clear. And they're doing those people a very grave disservice. They really are. Because they end up leaving and having that same attitude, this stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work if that's what you do. So now they have a new group here that I have not. This is crazy, Mark. Since December, I just got a phone call the other day to say, tell me about this group that came in. I don't know. There's a handful of them, and they're starting to engage. And I said, well, who are they? Who's managing them? Who's talking to them? Who's said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That was the answer.
Wow. Not good.
So I went and looked while online, and they gave me their username and said, yeah, look at all the people they're putting in. I said, great. Who's managing them? Well, so-and-so's taking care of is he? He did that last time, and nothing worked. No education. See, they're all old school. They think you can just throw these people in here. Well, you can, and you're going to end up with the same result. We know that statement. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result. This is exactly what I said to them. You know what? 6 months. Watch what happens by the end of June here with this group. Just watch what happens. I thought you'd be happy. Okay, well, I was happy. That's great. Good. Glad they're there. Why? You don't even know who they are, right? No, I don't know. Okay, well, I can't help you. Don't even tell me about it because I can't help them if I don't know who they are. You don't send them over here and pick up a phone and introduce them and start having some interaction. What actions will your current thinking likely inspire? Help affiliates create needed shifts in their approach to reaching their desired results. Exactly what I was just talking about. Shifts, change of from what they were used to, what they did. It didn't work before. Obviously, or they wouldn't come here, right? If they were successful in their other company, why would people jump ship?
And Joe, I would venture to say that if they knew about it, that a good number of them would want to come and find out what's going on and what we're doing so that they can move forward successfully.
Yeah, some of you sitting there and you're saying, I get phone calls, we get it all the time. If you'll say, I don't have my upline, what do I do? I don't have a director, they don't do it this way. I have the same problem. I have the same problem looking straight upline. Takes them 4 years to get their checks, and then now they think they know it all and expect the other people to come in and do it in 4 weeks, 4 months. When it took those people 4 years. Sometimes the slightest adjustment in one area can open up new possibilities, right? Take this class, watch what happens. That little adjustment of who you are when you make a phone call changes everything. Look at this. A sustainable shift will occur when people identify the need for it themselves. How many people, Mark, we hear over and over again after they take that first class, oh my gosh, I never heard this taught like this before. Okay.
Many of them say, now I know what to do. Now I know who I am. They find out that they're not gold peddlers. That's what they find out.
Finally find out is how to talk, how to pick up the phone and be the receptionist and not the manager. Get the people over to the right place to get the information. If nothing were in your way and you knew that it would all turn out well, what would it be? Or what would you do? Pretty interesting question. Stories your affiliates tell themselves may prevent them from reaching their goals. People have their own idea. I mean, look, when a new person comes in, you can bet on it, Mark, that a new person comes in with skepticism and disbelief. They didn't make it last time, not going to make it this time. And that's their story. That's their story. Now you think about this and you wonder why people don't engage. You take a look at these questions. You're going to find out why they don't engage. And you know what? If you decide to grow and get stronger, be a stronger manager, sponsor, this is about being the sponsor. These questions, talking to your affiliates, talking to your new partners. This is about being a real sponsor. This is how you get to be a real sponsor. And people will respect this. If nothing were in your way, you knew it would turn out well, what would you do? I would answer that. If someone asked me that question, I'd say, well, I'd teach everybody then how to do it right, because you know what? I haven't gotten it right. I mean, I know how this turns out, how it's turning out, and how it's going to turn out a year from now again. I know that. I have seen this, done this. I have operated this way for probably 18 years on finding people who are interested and instead of trying to interest people. I've learned the dialogue many, many years ago to pick up the phone and do a director call in within 5 minutes. I learned how to pick up the phone initially and find the interested party by asking the simple question. I learned not to answer questions that are not pertinent to our discussion at the time. I know how to move them along. All these things I had to do myself. It takes time. You learn this, but if you really want to be a better sponsor, I mean a sponsor. I don't mean putting it under you and your name's on it as the sponsor. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being a magnetic manager, having people drawn to you for the answers. Mark and I get calls all the time from outside of our group about, answering questions because their upline aren't engaged. Allow them to devise solutions with no restrictions or constraints. Can help them create new stories and work to attain those stories. People go to the class, Mark, and come out of there with, oh my gosh, no wonder I wasn't being successful. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was stuck. I didn't have answers. If they asked me about the comp plan, I tried to explain it. Or I'd say, don't worry, let's go get somebody that can. And feel stupid and foolish, and then they can't get anybody on the phone, and they go, well, I'll have to get back to you. This is really, really important stuff. Did I go too far there? Or was that 12? Yeah. Nope, there it is. May I offer you my observations? Wow, this is important. For you to, as a coach, as a sponsor, offer new lenses through which your affiliates can view themselves. They might not agree with it. They might reject them, right? Either way, you're helping them gain the clarity needed to shift their judgments. The judgments they're talking about here is, for us here at this company, it's about just what I said earlier, their belief system. They're judging this like they did before. They didn't make it before. It's wonderful if you find that superstar and they say, get out of my way and go do it. That's great. But their people aren't going to get it either. Just because you have a superstar doesn't mean he's bringing 10 superstars with him. He's just bringing people that are going to go to work. And he better know how to teach them how to do it. The key here is to ask if you may offer your observation before offering them. It demonstrates respect, right? And willingness to listen. Their ability and willingness to listen. You've got to be able to look, this is where it starts with people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Can I tell you what I see after our discussion? May I give you some observations? It sounds like you've struggled a little bit in the past with these other companies. It sounds like you're still skeptical with it. Here's what I'd like you to do. In order to get over that, we need to get to more of the classes, more of the positive input discussions. Let's go live over here to maybe a Joe Norman overview of the company. Introduce them to your partners. Pick up the phone and introduce them to a few people. Let them know that it's for real, that people are making money, people are getting educated. There's a group teaching them the right way on how to do this. If you haven't had that success in the past, it may be because, maybe you've discovered with this person they're afraid to talk on the phone. If you discover that, what do you think the first thing you ought to do is, right? Get them into class? Because the reason they're afraid is because they're afraid they don't know how to answer questions. What new practices can you put into place to ensure your success? That's the question for the new affiliate. And after a couple days of working with them, letting them know you're going to ask some questions like this. Asking affiliates to formulate their new practices. What new practices? Well, maybe you discovered, as I said, that they're hesitant to pick up that phone. Look, what is my job going to be? First, you're going to learn how to have a successful business from home. Then you're going to operate one. That's the answer to that. What will I be doing? First, you're going to learn in the class how to have a successful business. We're going to teach you dialogue, communication skills, teach you how to get a marketing tool in place. That's what we're going to do. That would give them confidence that you're not throwing them out there, telling them to pick up the phone, send them to your website, and come bring me over, when they would have no confidence in that whatsoever. And I guarantee you the person who said that to them is probably afraid that they're going to bring them a three-way because they don't know what to do either. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. It's been going on for 60 years. That's why we do this. I mean, somebody had the nerve, I told you the other day, to say this stuff isn't important. Well, yeah, it's not important if you want to fail. Asking affiliates to formulate their new practice allows them to take ownership of their future and gives them a common connection point. Over time, you can check in on their new practices, help them determine if they're working out or not. Perfect opportunity here to offer suggestions and brainstorm. Why do you think we take the class and we put together with a group of people? Work together. Start these new practices, these new ways to talk to people, learning what it's like to have no gaps and assume and be assumptive. Learning what that means. Without the class, you would never know what that meant. And I promise you, on a phone call, and somebody jumps in and asks you a question that you're not totally prepared for, you're not going to know that those two practices, those two techniques will get you out of trouble immediately. If you don't know what they are, how are you going to do it? So what will change for you? How will you ensure your success? Well, I'm going to work with a group of people. I'm going to study these questions and answers. I'm going to make these new phone calls I have never made before. I didn't make a cold call before. If you had a list of people and you sent the email to them, you're waiting for them to call you back or fill something out, why not just pick up the phone? This would be new for most people. New because you had a new way of handling them. And you have a group of people you're working with and role-playing with to make sure you're doing it right, to help you. And those people, when I send that letter out to people telling them how to practice together, it gives them permission to observe, just like number 10 says. Let's role play. Now, may I offer that for you? Let me tell you what I just heard. It sounded a little weak over here. You left an open-ended question there, sitting there, and that person is asking you questions now and taking control. So let's work on that and see if I can get you to understand how important it is to have no gap, assume, and then move on. People have to be willing, Mark, to get together, to practice, and that allows them to take ownership of their future. Because it allows them then to get up and say, well, I don't have a problem with making that phone call today. I'm calling them up and say, hi, it's Joe Shoup giving you a quick call here from Arizona. We're giving you a call. We met the other day at the supermarket, or you were on my website, or you filled out some information. I do want to speak to you about managing a business from home with our company. See, when you know that that's your objective, pretty simple to say that. And now you're prepared with everything that's going to come up. Why? You have an objective. That objective is to move them over to a director or give them information they don't have yet. Maybe you met them and they need. I'll give you an example. One of the people I met last week, I met about 3 or 4, but one of them I have not talked to yet. I've left a message, 2 messages. But I'm not, and I actually have their email address, I'm not sending them a piece of information to look at until I talk to them. Because I've already met them personally. Now, sending out an email campaign, people I don't know, that's different. But I met this person, told them I want to talk to them first. I want to know what it is they perceived when I said, well, look, what I do is I teach people how to have a successful business from home. How long have you worked here at such and such? Have you ever thought of having a successful business? 52% of the people in this country, households have some kind of home business. Yeah, I always thought it. Okay, great. Let's get together and we'll discuss the possibilities. I didn't say, give me your email and I'll send this to you. Let's exchange our emails here. We'll get together. We'll talk. So I left a few messages I haven't heard yet. The other people I did. I know where to go with it. I'm not afraid of the question. I've done this before, will I make money? I know the answer to that, and you should know that too. What does your company do? Tell me about your company. People would freeze if they didn't understand how to use the format of QAQ. If they didn't know how to do that, you're going to freeze. Probably start telling them all about Harold Seitz and the company, and they're in Germany, and they have these gold things. Let me show you the card. You wouldn't even know where to go if you're not prepared for that answer. So you really have to work here. You have to go to work. In the meantime, you do have to make connections early on. You don't want to spend 6 months in training. You spend a week getting it all organized, putting it together, getting your documents all in shape, getting your marketing set up, and setting a plan in motion. Getting into the class, learning the questions, getting role play, work with a team of people, and be able to pick up the phone. Sure, it's scary the first couple times, but when you're prepared, nothing will stand in your way. And that's what we do. We prepare people. I think of us, Mark, like a prep school. A lot of kids, when we were growing up, went to those preparatory schools.
That's right.
Preparing them.
Well, Joy, let me give you a quick example of this gentleman that I just met. And actually, you can call him what you call a hustler. Now, I don't mean it in a derogatory way. What I mean by a hustler in this light is that he just goes after it and goes after it. Makes good money, honest money, and he goes after it. But now he's coming into a situation that I have to calm him down. In other words, we're not hustling. We are educating, and we are building a successful business working from home. So now I have to train him and educate him in all of this, but he's ready to go. He's ready to bring 1 million people in, and he's got the people. They're there. I've seen them, and there are more there as well. But the point is that What if I just say, okay, well, bring them in, because, you know, if you bring them in, they buy packages and everything. I'll have a check next week and the next week and the next week or whatever like that. But guess what? Joe, 2 or 3 months later, those people are gone because they're frustrated because they got no education.
Yep.
Because he can't give it to them.
Yep.
But as we say, well, Nick, as I said, this is the way that we work. We have a system. We have education. We have, and this is how you build this business. That's what you have to do, and you have to have the guts to say that.
And you had to do that. I know.
Yes. So
a lot of people, Mark, for what happened to you yesterday, a lot of people would have got, first of all, so excited. They have a guy who can bring lots of people. Did first day, brought Mark 10 people in a meeting. First day. Sit down with them live. Said, I'm going to bring people to you. I want you to talk to them. So now, most people will be so excited, probably calling all of their friends they found a superstar. Mark didn't say that. We talked about it. What strategy? And then the guy wanted to do certain things, and Mark had to say to them, exactly, listen, slow down. This is how we work. This is what we do. We do this, this, and this. We have a system. But that day, I know, I understand where you're going with that, but you know what? Your people won't understand that. Here's what we're doing. This is exactly how we work. This is the process we use. And he said, yeah, you're right. I saw that. You told me that before, and I guess I'm getting a little anxious here. Okay, great. I know people need the information, but let's get this straight and get that you, first of all, in the right direction. And you know what's really cool thing about this, Mark? We have a young gentleman here that works with us every single day who calls me, calls you, works on new stuff, can probably have dialogue as good as anybody in the company.
Yes, sir.
First did venture into this as a young teenager. His mother's in the company, and he's learning and working and working. And guess what the reward for that is? If you haven't guessed it yet, that's where these people are located, under this person, as this new person, as our young entrepreneur is learning his skills and learning how to do things. Team's going to be built right there for him, and we're guiding him to build both sides. And you know what? That can happen to you, or you can help someone in that way if you structure it properly. We've structured it so that that's where this is going to take place. Why? Because he goes to work every day. Because he shows up. Because he calls. He has questions. How do I do this? Here's my dialogue. Actually helping and coaching people in classes. Unbelievable. And because of that, he's going to get rewarded for it. Are you willing to take action? By when? If not, why not? I mean, you've got to ask this question. We asked this question basically in the interview, right?
Yeah.
We asked that right in the interview. It's the last thing we ask them before registration, or before we say, do you have any questions for me? With a little bit of coaching, training, and a lot of support, can you see yourself doing what it takes to be successful working here with our company, building a successful business from home? We ask them that question. They say yes. They commit to that. Now, that's where that starts, and getting registered. But here, as you get through these questions, are you really willing to take action? If they're unwilling to take action, these questions will help them focus on exactly what's holding them back, right? This is a great way for you to connect with your people. Use these in your own words, but get this down to understand. Have this in front of you. Check the progress. Give them tasks. The very beginning, the first thing you do is set them up. Get the tools rock, get in the back office. You have two things to accomplish. One, print out the task sheet. print out the affiliate handbook, the guidelines, and spend time reading that so you understand where you are and what is expected of us and you, and start your tasks. Get registered, get your KYCs done, commit to once a month at least buying a gram of gold or 2 grams or whatever, and commit to getting to get to educational functions like this.
Now, Joe, let's use this guy again as an example, because this guy makes $1,500 a week. Now, how do you change a person, so to speak, that's making that kind of money? Well, what you do, you bring them in, you educate them, you show them what we do, and following that, the $1,500 turns into the $4,500 a week, plus it's residual as opposed to a one-time sale, so to speak.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of going through the process right now. Perfect example.
Yep.
And when as he sees that, he sees a little bit now, but as he sees that, it's, oh my goodness. Now I do want to change. In other words, I'm making $1,500 a week, but what you're showing me a retirement program as well. You're showing me real money as well, and you're showing me that if I follow a system, which you have, I can do this. You can triple your income right now. He's got the people. It's just that they all have to come through the process. They all have to come in. They all have to get into Tools Rock. They all have to get into the communication class, and they have to teach other people. 10 people can turn into 1,000. Am I right, Joe?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't have to take long. If they're willing to take the time to be educated, and look at what we've gone through this morning. If they're willing to adhere to that and understand that, look what can happen. And then it changes the life of a 14, 15-year-old young entrepreneur, because he was willing to give the time. He was willing to teach. He was willing to learn. He was willing to ask questions before these adults. How cool is that?
It's going to be very cool. It can be difficult for affiliates to think of everything they want to say in a moment in your meeting, right? But by asking what else gives them the opportunity to truly reflect and bring additional thoughts to the surface, right? So that's important. Number 13 is to say, hey, what else? What else do we need to cover here? What did you have in mind here? What was on your mind? So let's discuss that. So remember, this is really they say there's a dozen questions, but this is the bonus question, and it can be used anywhere at any time. Keep that in mind. And these questions are now yours. These powerful questions. Go back over the recording. You'll see these. You can write them down. Own them. Personalize them. Give them your unique style. Make sure you listen actively. Offer observations to facilitate shifts into their thinking, right? Their beliefs, their actions, and behaviors. Share your observations again. Make sure they know you hear them and that your interest is genuine, right? People don't care how much you know. Don't sit in a session being a big shot and acting like you know all the stuff you know. It's the worst thing that can happen is, oh boy, you know so much I'll never get there. That's a horrible, horrible conclusion to come to for a new affiliate. Best part of this, not only get to the heart of the matters with your affiliates, but you also establish trust and reinforce your relationships with people that you work with. Seize this opportunity to learn what's important to them and connect their goals to the goals of the business for the benefit of everyone. I promise you, this is missing. This little exercise we did for the last couple of days is missing in 98% probably of the people here at Karatbars. It's a wonderful exercise to go through. It may take you a couple days to go through this stuff. But this is the kind of stuff you should be talking about when you're getting to know your new person. Not what's it like in Chicago. How's the weather? How's your kids? Look, Mark and I talk personal stuff at times, but 90% of the time we're talking business and how to enhance things, how to bring these things to the table.
This is what's going to make your organization grow and on a permanent basis, because you want long-term affiliates, as you know, as opposed to you know, a 2-month what you call hit wonder. You know, they come in and they do a great job in 2 months, and then after that, they all of a sudden went flat, like a flat tire, because they went on their volition. They didn't have the direction, they didn't have the training, and then it stops. So, you know, the thing to do is to take this yesterday and today, because it's what I'm doing, and look at yourself first. Remember I said you want to first be the change that you want to see into somebody else. And if you can learn it, then you can learn how to teach it. And when you learn it and teach it, that's what creates your growth.
Well, make these your own. You know, these are things, more changes, more things you need to incorporate to be better at what you do. How to be a better manager, how to be a better sponsor is really the right word here, because that's being a sponsor. Putting your name, a person in the company under your name is one thing. That's registration. That doesn't mean a thing. I mean, it means it's a start, but to be a real sponsor is to guide people to success. That's what a real sponsor does. Even if you're trying to achieve it yourself, what's the big deal? You're still working together to get there. People asking, you know, one of the answers you have to have without being afraid is, are you successful yet? Are you making the money you make? And the answer is, well, no, not really. I'm still in training. I work part-time with the company, and I'm still following and still learning some of the things and putting them into action like we're doing here today. So let's get to our first question. Remember, no gaps, move forward. Assume what you said made sense and that you can move forward. Whether it's with your affiliate or whether you're with a prospect. These are communication skills. So with that, I hope you have a great day. I'll turn it with you, Mark. We're at the closing point here, but you know what? Make this your own. That's the important thing, is to go over these things and make them your own.
And you know, Joe, I'll close with this, because you made a very profound statement, and you've made it a few times. People don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And if you care, then you're going to take them through the right process. Everything is, we have everything. It's there. The question is, are you willing to take the time to give it to yourself as well as your new affiliate? And if you do that, you'll have them for a long time to come. And that's what you want to do. So peace and blessings to you. Go out and make it a great day. Bring somebody back tomorrow to the Breakfast Club, and we'll go from there. So this is Mark Stevenson, our host, Joe Shue. Peace and blessings, everybody. Make it a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Breakfast Club.